I heard a really good story from a couple that was kind of interesting, but it really made the point is he liked this presence and they were arguing about it. It's like, well, you're always in the garage. And she's like, well, he's like, you're always just sitting in the couch. Well, I'm on your phone doing Facebook or playing games. And they talked. And when he really articulated, I just like you near and by me. He goes, well, I can put a couch out in the garage. She's like, yeah, that'd be great. So in the summertime, she just sits out on the couch and she's still doing her own thing that she normally does. And he's kind of doing his thing, but they're together.
This is Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate MarriageCast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Welcome to you, our listener. Welcome to episode 73 and happy Valentine's Week. We're excited that you're joining us on this week in part 2 of our series with counselor Tony Boer of Sioux Empire Christian Counseling. We are back to talk for the ladies on women's talk here today about what we can do as wives to show up better, and specifically things that you've seen in your practice, Tony, that are going to be impactful for us to learn. So welcome back to our show, Tony.
Thanks for having me again. These are always so much fun. I love how you summarize that of just learning how wives can show up better. And we talked a little bit about that last time of men. Here's how you can show up for wives and what they need and what they're looking for. And so the perspective of, hey, women, here's what you can do to show up. So that's a great kind of way to start.
Perfect.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Summarized it well then.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
You guys, I brought something for both of you because this is Valentine's week. So I thought about bringing flowers too, but I brought you some chocolate.
Oh, nice.
So this is a Dove chocolate. I think they're the dark chocolate. The little hearts, how cute are those? So spouses, don't forget that it's Valentine's on Friday.
Yeah.
And Ryan, do you remember the show we did last year?
Yeah.
If you guys didn't catch it, and if you're kind of anti-Valentine's Day, I would really encourage you. We'll see if we can put a link to it, to our 2024 anti-Valentine's Day show. It's a gem of a show, and it might change your perspective on it.
It was really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go back and watch it. It sounds exciting.
Thinking a little bit. So,
yeah.
But here we are. And can I just share one other fun thing that I saw?
Yeah.
I'm in marketing, and I saw the coolest Valentine's box this past week. Do you know what it was?
What?
Any guesses?
No.
This is like a brand going into a whole new sector. Kraft Mac and Cheese has a Valentine's Day box. So if you're thinking, what in the world can I get for my spouse? Maybe your spouse would like, instead of chocolates, it's like
mac and cheese?
A mac and cheese in the shape of a heart with a little macaroni noodle stuffed animal on it.
Is the cheese sauce like pink so it looks different?
No, I think it's all yellow.
Okay.
And I think there were maybe candy mac and cheeses inside of it. But I just thought, wow, that I've seen it all now.
Yeah, that brings up a lot of questions, but maybe that's a different...
Well, what I would say, Ryan, is file that away.
I know.
You just got your Valentine's gift that you can get her. You're good, buddy.
I know. I'm just thinking of that, of like... Would you be happy if I got you a Kraft mac and cheese?
No, nope.
Don't do it.
No, I would not be. No, maybe for your kids or something. I thought that was really
that's
fun.
a good.
So, anyways, it's Valentine's Day week. I personally am a big fan, so we're just so glad that you're joining us for our show today. So, we're talking women's tips here.
Yeah.
So,
how to show up.
We're
talking about just all the things that I see in my practice. So, what do you guys think is the biggest frustration women are sharing when they come in about their relationship, about the man?
Do I get to talk?
Yeah.
We said last week we were going to swap spots. And I tried to be a good listener last week and not interject too much. But I would love to hear your thoughts too.
Yeah.
I kind of think it's maybe something along the lines of my spouse doesn't listen to me. I feel like women are kind of chattier, and they might feel like their spouse is just, maybe not engaged listening.
Sure.
What do you think, love?
Yeah, I think it's maybe how they hear things.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just thinking personally, like of not and we've shared this a lot of not really hearing the question. Like I hear it and instantly I'm trying to solve it and be like, oh, okay, here you go. Just do this. This has happened maybe a few times for us. Instead of just really hearing what is being asked, I'm hearing and trying to solve. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, both great answers, but probably the theme of today is, Michelle, yours is right.
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Hey, we're off to a
That's the
good
biggest
start.
one. Yes, Ryan, everything you said is true, and that's a lot about communication and things like that. But the first thing is like, he's not hearing me. He's not listening to me. And so one of the things when we talk about how can you show up or how can you make that go a little bit better is a lot of times women do use a lot of words and they're verbal and they talk through problems and they talk through things. And so what happens is as they start talking, you're actually right, the men start tuning out and they stop, especially if you start talking negative, right? So if it's, you never help me, you don't do anything, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do all of this stuff by myself, I need you to do something. He's kind of checked out.
Or like, would walls go up too?
Yeah, walls go up, or they will fight back. What do you mean I never do anything? I helped this, I did that piece. And so then you start to get in this argument. Well, the woman feels like she's not been heard because she never really got to, I need some help. And if you can say what you need first and then kind of work your way backward, you're going to feel like your husband's a little more engaged and listening to you. So the better way is like, I need help cleaning the bathroom. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm stuck. I need a little bit more. Then you can get into those feelings and do that. But when you say, I need help cleaning the bathroom, man, like you were saying, right, we're problem solvers. Like, oh, okay, now I know what to do. I see my wife upset. There's something I can do. I'm engaged. I'm going to feel successful and I can do this to make her feel better. But when it starts with all those feelings, and what women most of the time are doing, they're just talking through that. They're going to kind of get there and talk about that and get to that piece. But if men get defensive and feel like they're in trouble, they tune out. And so we never get to that spot. So women, if you want to be heard, start with what do you need, kind of make that concrete, and then you can explain why, right? I need help with the bathroom, cleaning the bathrooms because I'm feeling overwhelmed and I can't do everything. Now you're going to get a little further in that conversation.
I feel like that's really great advice, Tony. I'm thinking back through some of our different situations where we've just been on different pages with communication, and our whole thing is like, hey, we're on the same team. And I think that's just so great because you're right. It's not that Ryan doesn't want to help me. We are on the same team. It's just how I communicate. Do you feel like if I would have flipped, you're kind of flipping the whole order of what you're saying. Yeah. Do you feel like in different situations, and I feel like we've told this story a million times, but just because it's fresh in our mind with some speaking that we did, it was the mascara example. If I would have just said like, hey, Ryan, can you go get the mascara? And then I could have told you all the reasons why I needed it. But if I just would have said, turn the car around right now, let's go get it. And then I could have told you all the reasons.
Yeah, for sure.
That would have been really helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Or I'm trying to think of other recent examples.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's direct, and I don't, just me personally, like if you ask me a question, hey, like, will you do the laundry? Oh yeah, sure, like no problem at all,
right?
But like Tony, as you're saying, if there's a whole list of things first, then I get it. I think that probably happens that people tune out and they're like, whoa, like then they come on the defensive of, well, when from the beginning they would have absolutely helped to do the laundry. Yeah. They just didn't know. And then it gets negative and it gets defensive. And then all of a sudden, like a simple task, there's a wall.
Yeah, it can go downhill really quickly because it can go from, I'm just trying to talk to you and tell you how I feel and how I need help. And then we're over here talking about, well, I help you and you help, and we're all defensive and arguing. And we never got to where that is, right? Mm-hmm. So in that context, women is just really almost work your way backwards. Here's what I need help for, and then I can tell you why I'm feeling that way and what's going on. And he's going to stay more engaged, and it's going to feel like he hears you and he's listening a little bit better.
Sure. I wonder if that's difficult for women to even to like in the moment to get there. It might have to be a practice thing because I feel like, Ryan, we've had situations where, maybe something will happen and it's just like I maybe just like not overreact, but maybe a little bit. And you're able to just sit back and say, Michelle, like, what's going on? And then it's like, oh, I'm sorry, love. I'm really overwhelmed and I have so much going on. But it's almost like I have to become aware of that myself, So I think maybe I don't know how you become more self-aware of what's causing those reactions too.
Yeah. And you gave the answer when you were talking is practice.
Sure.
We got to practice. So the cool thing is when we talk about marriage relationships, these are all skills, just like shooting a basket or doing anything. The more you practice, the better you get. And so you just like, I got to practice that. I got to practice slowing down my reactions before they go. Ryan, you're going to have to practice, listening and just like hanging in there as those reactions come to like, okay, what is she really talking about instead of getting defensive? So men and women, we both have skills that we got to work on. But the cool thing is they're skills. You can practice them. You can get better at them the more that you're aware of them.
Yeah,
which is the point of what we're doing today.
Yeah, that's great. I was just thinking it's so kind of funny how God created men and women so different because men really communicate kind of the opposite, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like Ryan would just say, hey, I need help with this. And it would take pulling to get the emotions out. But I feel like women are a little bit flipped with that.
Yeah, exactly. On the men episode, we talked about the first thing is like, men, say what you're thinking, right? Is share those feelings. Don't just do the one little piece. Say the whole piece behind it. It's like, hey, can you help me? Because I need this and share that instead of just that one little piece. Women were just doing it backwards. Yeah.
Yeah. That's helpful to just kind of remember how their brains are wired too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great, Tony. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that.
All right.
Okay. So communication, we have to kind of flip our script and we have to say specifically what we need and then elaborate on the emotions and all the feelings behind it. But you're going to lose them if you try to tell the whole 10-minute monologue and then get to the point.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Who got it?
Next big one is that how do you show up for your husband is have more fun with him. Just have more fun. You will hear, it's a big complaint that I'll hear from, man, she's no fun. We never do anything fun. She doesn't want to do anything cool. And so there's just kind of this complaint of she's no fun.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. What do you think when you hear that? So if Ryan, let's say if Ryan goes, man, you're just no fun. Mm-hmm. What's your initial answer or reaction to that?
Yeah, I don't think you would say that about me, first of all.
Hypothetical.
But I think in that situation, I bet it's a case of drift. We've talked about that where maybe you started out really close and doing a lot of things. And whether that's career or children, the focus has shifted. So that's my first thought, maybe as to why that's happening is that they've stopped making time for each other. Or maybe the wife has stopped. Maybe she's busy in the thick of parenting and has kind of forgotten about her spouse. And it needs like a realignment. How'd I do, Tony?
Doing great. And it's that busy, right? It's not that women don't want to have fun. And there's these things when you hear these conversations in my office of couples talking and you're no fun. And then the follow-up is, well, if you would help me out a little more, if we could get our lists done, if we could do these things, then I would have time to be more fun and to do this. And she's correct on all of those things. But we just have to kind of remember it isn't always just that way, right? It's like, hey, get the to-do list done, then we're going to have fun. Because the reality is sometimes the to-do list is never going to get done, so then we're never going to have fun. Yeah. And just like we talked about conversation, it also works backwards. Hey, if you have some fun and are lighthearted and laughing and having fun with your husband, guess what? He tends to be more engaged and connected and wants to do more to help you out. And so it does go that way. It's just always easier to see it as like, hey, if we get all this stuff done, then we can have fun. Just remembering, wives, don't be afraid to just go have fun and then we'll get some more stuff done. Because sometimes we're never going to get that to-do list done.
Yes. I feel like that's so true because I think I can relate a lot with exactly. Tony's like, you're in my brain. I always have my to-do list and I know our pastors here have done sermons around, you can't live your life around the unfinished. If you live based off of a to-do list, you're always working out of that unfinished. And really, that whole sermon was amazing. It was like, you have to go back to who you are as a person in God, who you are as a partner, a parent, and a professional. And you have to make room for those things because you're always going to have a to-do list. And I feel like that's what you're saying, that some things that we've done is, Ryan, you'll even say, because you know how I am with my giant list of things, you'll say, hey, let's do our things until 9:00 and then let's sit in the living room and chat. Or we've found ways to make the mundane fun. So like if we're doing laundry together, there's no reason you can't weave that fun in. We'll, like if we're folding socks, I'll be like, hey, let's race. And we'll see how many like pairs we can match up. And then we'll open the drawers and shoot them in our sock drawers. So I don't know, maybe it's just weaving some of that in too.
Absolutely. And it's just having fun instead of waiting to get everything done. And just a little that defensive, like, hey, what do you think about that? You're like, women will have to, well, I have fun. I like to have fun. And it's not that women are against that. It's just having that little different perspective. And so when you like, hey, let's pause, then have some fun, and then we'll get back to that. That's that piece where it's like, yeah, women, I know you guys like to have fun and to do those things, and you're not against that, but it just always feels like we do it in a different order. And so when we're talking about how do you connect and how do you show up for your man, that would be a good way to do that.
I feel like it's really eye-opening to know that so many men are saying that. Like it makes me want to try to be more fun because I'm guessing, I mean, do the wives realize that? Are they usually surprised when they must be, because you said usually they say, hey, that's not true. I am fun. So they must not really know that that's the perception.
Yeah, I don't think, they don't always realize it. Whenever anybody says anything to someone else, if you're not in a really good, safe place, that other person always gets defensive. And so you'll hear that, well, I'm fun, or I'm willing to have fun, or I would be fun if you helped me out. And so you're always just trying to figure out, how do we get through that little piece to hear the real piece? Because then you start to hear, it's like, I'm willing to have fun. I want to have fun. So then you try and help that husband. Did you hear what you just said? She wants to have fun with you. She's not against it. So let's work with that. You're more on the same page than you know. And it's the same thing if we talk about some of those things from the man show the last time, is like, hey, listen to what she's saying. Don't get so defensive. She's saying she wants more time. She wants more of you. Slow that down. And so we always hear that's that first reaction is like, no, I am kind of fun and doing that. But it's like, okay, let's just actually solve the problem. No one's in trouble. That reminds me, like, whenever I have kids come into therapy, I have a rule. I tell them, hey, when you come here, just so you know, you're not in trouble. My goal is just to kind of help you. I'm here to help people do that. So when I was just talking, I'm like, I could probably need to tell that to couples too. It's like, hey, remember you guys, as we're talking, you're not in trouble. So when your husband says, I want to have fun with you, you're not in trouble. We're actually trying to solve that problem. If we take that trouble piece out of that, hopefully people get a little less defensive.
Sure. You're right. It really is a compliment to the spouse that the husband's craving more time with his wife, right? Mm-hmm. What are some examples of things that you've seen couples do to incorporate more fun into their relationships?
I like the sock one that I just heard. That was pretty fun.
We're so goofy.
But it's having the everyday tasks. I think I've talked and even here before about going on a date to Hy-Vee with my wife. It's something we're going to do. Can we have the right attitude and just have fun and be silly and do these things? And no, the goal is to laugh, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what lots of people find attractive with each other. And it's that laughing and enjoying and sharing life. And it's really weird is when you're laughing and you're sharing those feelings, you feel really connected. When you're shooting the baskets of the socks in there, it's cheesy and it's silly, but you're laughing and you're having fun. And so it's pretty limitless is what you're doing. It's just, can you make it a joke and be cheesy about it?
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
It almost makes me want to fold socks with my wife.
There you go.
I might have to try that because I am competitive, so I'd want to win. So
I know. And so part of it is the scramble to do the matching, and then it's like the shooting too. So really, I mean, you guys should try it. It's kind of fun.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. And I feel like we always have a crazy amount of socks because there's dress socks and regular socks and workout socks. And we go through a lot of socks, I guess. Yeah. So anyways, I feel like you you change outfits 3 times a day between your work clothes and your
Yeah.
casual clothes and your workout clothes.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Yeah.
try it with your laundry and let us know.
It's good fun. Have fun. But that's kind of that second big thing. How do you connect? Just have fun. And like you were saying, don't wait till the end. Let's do it backwards sometimes. Okay, cool. Next one is just kind of how to show up for your man is presence. Just not presents.
Presents?
Oh.
I was
Not
like, wait
the
a minute.
chocolate.
I brought
Thank you, by the way.
chocolate
You did
today
really good.
for you guys.
Did you
Okay.
notice we didn't have anything? We didn't give anything back to you. That feels a little awkward and
flowers.
weird. Yeah, we kind of screwed that up. Sorry, man. We didn't represent very well. But no, presence, just your connection, just being nearby, proximity, right? Being next to that person. And that is something that tends to be more valuable or connects more with men than it does for women. So the reason why we're talking about it is it just gets underappreciated is sitting down and watching 10 minutes of a soccer game or doing something really connects with that person. So if you want to kind of show up, it's sometimes women are making it really hard. We talked about earlier, men are pretty simple. Just tell us what you need us to do. We don't need a lot sometimes. I just need you to be next to me, and I need you to know that you love and you care about me. You don't even have to say tons of those things. Just that presence is really powerful. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah,
we got
I'm smiling and nodding because I had this thought that I feel like we should be paying you for this, Tony. It's such good. I feel like all 3 of these have been spot on with at least how I'm wired, because I think it goes back to me being so busy with the household chores and things that Ryan just wants me to take a few moments. I mean, we'll conquer that together. He just wants my presence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for him, one of your love languages is, quality time. So maybe that's just how he's wired too. But I feel like that's spot on.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
Love?
totally. Yeah.
Your presence.
Yeah, I think it's right on. I think there's so much just being side by side, and it doesn't even matter. I think going back to the previous about having fun, I think this is probably this is fun. I mean, it doesn't have to be. It can be like, hey, just you come sit by me, and I think in my head I'm like, oh, this is fun, and so it's a different, but I think it's spot on of just being near you, doing things together. That's what's fun.
Yeah. And we will sit out in the living room together and just talk or read together, or we're doing the Bible recap right now, which we shared with you at the start of the year. And that's been really fun together time. Sometimes we'll do ours together. Sometimes we'll do them separate, but that's a really great way to come together.
Yeah.
And or we'll watch a show or something, but we do just sit upstairs and have a cup of tea or decaf coffee or something, we were just made aware that might be decaf coffee at night. I just have to ask you really quick, Tony, do you ever have decaf coffee at night?
Full explanation. I don't drink coffee.
At all. Okay.
But I should add, because everyone's like, oh, wow, you're so cool. I suck down caffeine, energy drinks, and Mountain Dew like it's going out of style.
Them.
So that's kind of terrible. So
Patrick is nodding back there too. He's the energy
I will
drink.
drink a Diet Mountain Dew at 9 o'clock, go in, go to bed, wake up, start drinking them again. So it's not cool.
Okay. Well,
don't do that.
I don't know if I could do that. We were just made aware last night that it might be maybe a slightly older generation thing to have decaf coffee. So we were with some younger people and they were like, decaf coffee at night? Anyway, but we will sit and have a hot tea or decaf coffee and just talk at night. And that's really fun. That is fun. It's fun and it's presence together.
Right.
Tony, what do other people do for this? What does that look like in real life for other people?
I heard a really good story from a couple that was kind of interesting, but it really made the point is he liked this presence and they were arguing about it. It's like, well, you're always in the garage. And she's like, well, you're always just sitting in the couch while I'm on your phone doing Facebook or playing games. And they talked. And when he really articulated, I just like you near and by me, he goes, well, I can put a couch out in the garage. She's like, yeah, that'd be great. So in the summertime, she just sits out on the couch and she's still doing her own thing that she normally does. And he's kind of doing his thing, but they're together. And it was kind of like just communicating. As soon as he goes, hey, I would like you to do what you're normally doing just by me, it worked out fine. Before, he was always saying, can you come out? You never come out and say hi. You never visit me. You just leave me out in the garage all by myself. You don't care. And she's like, what do you want me to do out in the garage? And they got sidetracked, right? They're arguing, well, do you want me to watch you? Do you want me to hand you tools? I don't know what you want me to do in the garage. Once they communicate, I just want you there.
Yeah.
And she was like, I can do that. That's easy. So they hauled out an old couch and sit in the garage. I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
That makes so much sense. I feel like I've asked you that before, Ryan. If I'm working on a project or bills or whatever, I've asked you because you'll see me and then think, oh, well, I'm just going to go do this other thing because you're doing that. But I've asked you and you've done it. Like, hey, can you just come sit out here while I'm doing this organizing of, bills or whatever? Mm-hmm. And you've been happy to do that. And it's just, I agree. It's just nice to be together. So yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great tip.
Perfect. All right. Since this has been doing men's show, women's show, one of the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit is women will always kind of say, is all he ever wants is sex. That's all I ever hear about. Why do you think, we'll ask both of you guys, why do you think that's such a big, I don't know if you're going to call it discrepancy or just argument or a topic of conversation between men and women? Why is that so big and different? Why is that so important to a man?
Wow, that's a really big question, Tony.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so I think I think it's kind of like this togetherness and the presence that you just referenced. I think the guys want to be present with their wife. And I feel like maybe the reason that there's a rub is because it goes back to one of the other things. They're just busy doing things and maybe they haven't connected on an emotional and communication level and haven't really fanned the flame. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Some of those things, I hope I'm on the right path. What do you think, love? Let's see what Ryan thinks.
I think you hit on it a little bit. I think it's connection. And I think that's a point of connection where, I think there's emotional intimacy. We've talked about that before, that I think that I'm not generalizing, but that I think women really want that emotional intimacy that leads to physical intimacy. I think for men, maybe at least for me, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, is that physical intimacy leads to emotional intimacy.
Yes.
It's reversed.
Yeah. And so you guys, you're both right. You're on that right track.
Yay!
Yeah, way to go, you guys.
All right.
Is that of, remember what I learned is men keeping it really simple and basic and having fun and sharing feelings and presence. And so having sex and being intimate, you can share a lot of feelings without using a lot of words. That's kind of why men like that. And that what you were just talking to, Ryan, is men feel connected after they have sex, right? I feel loved and valued because women are kind of the backwards way. They need to feel connected to have sex. And so we're always just trying to figure that out and balance that. And so a lot of times when a man is going, hey, I want to make out, I want to have sex, I want to do this, in a really weird way, what they're saying is, I'm feeling really far away from you. Can we connect? And if you can hear it that way, and so it's like, a lot of times like, well, yeah, that's the whole reason why I'm wanting to talk to you and want to get on the same page and talk, because we're not connected. So a lot of times you're saying the same thing. It just shows up a little bit differently. And we have to learn how to compromise, right? Men, sometimes you have to do it the other way. It means you need to slow, when you're feeling far away and you're like, hey, I want to make out with my wife, I want to connect with her. It's like, slow down. You're going to have to talk. You're going to have to connect, that emotional intimacy, that piece of that. You're going to have to do it her way, so to speak. And then sometimes, remember, there's women, when you're feeling a little disconnected and she's like, hey, he wants to connect and make out, is if you do it that way, you'll see it go working kind of backwards. It's like, oh, he's connected. Now I feel he's close. And then we're kind of talking and communicating. So just kind of recognizing when you hear that from men, unfortunately, we don't do a very good job of saying, hey, I'm feeling really disconnected with you and I'd like to spend some time and I want to be physical and intimate with you. We usually just say, hey, you want to make out? And it's like, really? Come on, Tony. We haven't done. I'm like, well, yeah, but that's what's behind all that stuff. And so it's just learning how to do that. But since on this women episode, I just wanted to bring up and just know why that comes up a lot and where that comes from is just that whole perspective of that's his way of trying to communicate that. And men, you got to learn how to do that better. But women, if you can start to hear that a little bit better, it's like, oh, he's actually recognizing that we're disconnected too, and he wants to connect with me. That goes a lot better.
It might help them not to have a guard up when they hear that, like, oh, get away.
Yes,
it's like,
oh,
get away from me. It's more, okay, you're right. We need to connect. We've been running our own directions, all of that. So that makes so much sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you have feedback on it?
No, I think that, yeah. I mean, that's, it's right on. It's perfect.
Awesome. Tony, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And I have to put this plug out there because if you're in the Sioux Falls area, Tony is actually going to be speaking at our church's date night next Friday.
Correct. I'm looking forward to it. And my wife is going to be there. So if you hear all this stuff, you're like, oh, what would she say? What would she think? You're going to hear from her a little bit too, and you get that other wife's perspective.
Does she listen to the podcast?
She listens to not all of them. And she'll
the
listen
ones with you, though? Does she listen to them?
She listens to some of them. I don't think she listens to all of them.
Okay. Yeah, like when you did a shout out for her, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did she catch it?
Yeah, she's like, thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, well, yes, if you want to go ask his wife, her name is Michelle.
Michelle as well. Yeah.
If you want to go ask her, hey, is what Tony is saying really true? Then she'll back you up.
Yeah. So come have fun. It's going to be a lot like this. And I think you said something earlier that was really cool. It's like, oh, Tony, I think you're just speaking to us. And the cool part is we're speaking to everybody. These are themes that everybody has. And so if you want to learn more about that, that would be a great thing to come. But you guys aren't alone. We all have these same problems.
Super cool. We're excited for that. What a blessing you've been to our church and the podcast. So people even outside of our church walls and our community. So thank you, Tony, for being here. Any final parting thoughts on the women's chat episode, guys?
I mean, I think this has been so good. I'm like, and on it, like full disclosure, this is us. This is really good stuff, and I feel like this is great stuff for us. And I hope it's rewarding for you as well, our listener. I instantly I am kind of tying everything back to number one about say what, because I think for us so much of it comes back to that. And I think if I understand what's really what really is needed, I'm more than willing to help. It's just getting to that point. And I think if we can understand that, I think with the to-do list and everything like that, I think it all falls under that for me. Like if I understand what's really needed, I mean, that changes.
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, it changes everything. So
yeah, great show. I hope that guys and gals listen to both men and women's episodes because just like Ryan said, this is really helpful for him to hear too. Yeah. So encourage your spouse to listen. So thank you, listener, for investing in your relationship today. You can find more resources at Celebrate.church/marriage. Sign up for that date night at Celebrate.church. And we just thank you so much for joining us today. We would love for you to subscribe, follow along, and leave us a review. That would mean so much to us just to see your feedback. So thank you and have a great week.
Have a great week. Thanks.